Hello children, and welcome back to Ole Man Gaming, Chapter 0. You know, there's a couple of questions that I frequently get when people find out that I'm at Ole Man Gaming. First question that they want to know is, hey old man, how'd you get to be so old? You know, you think that you just sit in one place and let time go by and all of a sudden you're old. Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot harder than that. You know, it takes grit and determination. You got to walk through the snow backwards to school every day. And it requires an almost complete lack of bone density. The second question I get most frequently is, hey old man, what game are you playing? Well, the game that I play is called Old School RuneScape. It's a game that's been in existence for over 20 years. And I've been playing Old School RuneScape and RuneScape in general for almost 20 of those years. It's an incredible game. You know, look at these people. There's a lady down there and she's fishing, and there's a guy up there cooking fish, and that old man stopped by with his little axe because he wants to know what's going on. I mean, they're having so much fun. In this game, you could be anything you want. You could spend your time mining amethyst or brewing potions to make your character stronger or become a master of agility. You can also die horribly in a toxic cloud of venom while a man-eating serpent spits acid at you and sends his minions to chew your nuts off. Or you can burn to death in front of a giant dragon while you forget to run to the portal and get your clan leader killed, and then he kicks you out of the clan. Or you could choose to die horribly as some fat half-woman, half-spider lady sits on your face. Actually, that's a different game. That's Japanese. Don't Google that, please. Anyway, what I'm saying is the game has, over time, gotten a lot harder. And you know, you need to be a really good player to be able to take on these challenges. You need to be able to use advanced methods like tick manipulation and tick eating and, you know, the 4-to-1 method. I mean, the 4-to-1 method, the old man can't even perform the 1-to-1 method when the old lady comes around. Anyway, I feel like the game's gotten past me a little bit, and it's gotten really, really hard. And what I really want to do is I want to find a way to go back to, you know, the feeling that I used to have. So I had an idea. I had a great idea. What if I was to take everything that I love and all the limitless possibilities and everything that goes on in this game, and I was to turn it into this? You see, this is a video game that I actually played when I was a kid. This is what video games looked like in the 1980s. And if you look really closely, you'll see that, you know, we only had 3 lives back then. You know, and if you died, you know, you weren't coming back in Falador or like going to get your grave. Like, the whole game was over. I mean, that was it. 3 lives and the game's over. And there was literally probably a 50% chance that if you died in the game, you died in real life. So, I know what you're thinking right now. Are you about to propose another game mode? Don't we have enough game modes at this point? I mean, we've got Dead Man Mode and Kill 2,500 giant bears for a ring you never wear mode, and Kill Zuck with a sharpened spoon mode. We've got, you know, max out your entire character before you even leave the first chunk mode. You know, we've got League Shattered Relics mode. You know, we do need another game mode because these game modes are really, really, really hard. I mean, these are really hard. Except for that one. That one's like super easy, even for an old man. But anyway, I want to create a game mode where I can go back to having this feeling again. You know, I want to be as happy as I was when I first started playing this game, when life was a little bit more simple and not so complex. So without any further ado, I would like to announce my new game mode. Old School RuneScape Old School. OSRS OS. Actually, that's stupid. No. Presenting Ole Man Mode. Okay? So what is Ole Man Mode, and what are the rules? Well, what I've done is I've taken the game and I've chopped it up into decades. And as you know, the word deci is the Latin prefix for the number 10. I know this because I was actually there when the word was invented. Anyway, this is the heart of Ole Man Mode. The way it works is I'm going to stay within a decade that's determined by the level of the monsters that I'll be killing until I kill all of the monsters that are in that decade. The decade that I'm in determines how high I'm allowed to let my skills go and whether or not, and the level of clues and quests that I can finish. So in levels 1 through 40, every 10 levels, I'll be allowed to increase my skills by another 10, and I will move up to eventually doing easy clues and experienced quests. After level 40, it starts skipping by 2 decades, so I have to be able to kill 2 decades worth of monsters to get my skills up another 10 levels. And then eventually, around level 100, it moves all the way to needing to do 10 decades worth of monsters to be able to continue to skill up. So by playing the game in this linear fashion, what I'm hoping is that I will be able to prepare my character to be able to do some of these challenges at the bottom of the list down here. I'm very interested to see what would happen if you took the limitless possibilities that RuneScape offers you and you turned it into a 1980s video game. Hopefully this chart is pretty self-explanatory, but life's not usually that easy, so I want to introduce you to the other rules of Ole Man Mode. So the first rule is I'll be killing 256 of each monster within a decade before I'm allowed to graduate out of that decade and move into the next one. And I chose 256 because it's going to add a little bit of excitement and a little bit of randomness to this game mode. Most, if not all, of the really good drops in this game are usually a 1 in 512 or higher drop rate. So I'm going to have to get lucky to get things like an Abyssal Whip. The next rule is I don't have to kill monsters if they're quest or mini-game locked or spawn locked. This is not a completionist game mode. I'm not doing it to be extreme or finish everything in one area. I'm just trying to have some fun. The next rule is that if I want to kill Slayer monsters, then the task that I am going to complete has to be in my decade. But to keep the game going and to keep everything moving, I will be allowed to skip Slayer tasks when I get one that's not in my decade or higher than my decade, and go to Turiel or Spria, I guess. But Turiel, I can do unlimited numbers of his monsters. If I get a task in a decade that I have already completed, and I haven't yet killed 256 of those monsters, then I can go back and I can do that task. In this game mode, Revenants don't exist. I think anybody who's trying to play the game in a more linear fashion understands why. It'd be silly if I killed a Revenant Imp and got a pair of Dragon Plate Legs. I know why they exist. I don't hate Revenants. I know why Jagex put them in, but for this game mode, they're not going to be a factor. I am forced to use one combat style until it gets to 99 before I can switch to another combat style. And the reason for this is, you would run out of XP pretty quickly in some of these decades if you were only allowed to go up 10 levels. You get to level 10 in attack, strength, defense, range, and mage, and then you can't kill any more monsters. So I will be training strength up past 10 in the first decade, most likely, depending on how many monsters I have to kill. And that skill, strength, will have to hit 99 before I can start training another skill above the decade that I'm in. In the second decade, I'll be allowed to take attack and defense, mage and range to 20. But other than that, you have to stay within the decade you're in. Quests. So the way the quests are going to work is I am not allowed to do a quest if the XP from that quest would move me out of the current decade that I am in. I can, however, kill higher level monsters during a quest. So if it's required that I kill something that is outside the decade that I'm in and I'm actively doing a quest, then that's okay. If I already killed a monster in a decade, I get to decide if I need to kill the same monster at a higher level. So if you've got a level, 5 goblin, and I don't know, I don't think there is one, but if there was a level 15 goblin out there, I could make the decision about whether or not I want to kill it. I will probably be killing things like black dragons and then going and killing brutal black dragons. Those are pretty different. But if they are, pretty close, and I've killed a bunch of them already, 1 decade ago, then I'm not going to feel like I need to kill them again. And again, this is at my own discretion. This is a fun game mode. If I can't kill something with my current combat style, then I can come back later and kill it. So let's say I'm out of range XP and I'm at the max level for my decade and I still have 100 aviancies left to go. I can come back and kill them after I move into a new decade. The Barrows brothers have a different level range. They happen to fall in 2 different sets of decades, but for these purposes, they come as a set. Aram and Carol are 98, I think, and the other brothers are like 115, but they're all going to be unlockable starting at the decade of 81 to 100. I can't use anything that I get from skilling my levels within a decade. I can't use anything that I get from skilling to get more XP. So I can't catch a bunch of fish, then cook them, and then eat them. If I happen to get fish from a drop, or I don't know, I steal some cakes, then I can eat those, okay, because there's no extra XP generated. But I can't chop logs and then go ahead and burn them for fire making XP. I have to burn the logs that I get from drops. And I'm not going to be picking up spawns either. All gold can be used at shops and to buy, quest items or clue items, but on a 1 million to 1,000 basis. So I have to get my first 1 million gold on the account before I can convert it into 1,000 usable gold. This is just to keep the game mode moving. I don't want to be stopped on a clue because I don't have a green hat from the gnome stronghold. So again, on a 1,000 to 1 basis, after I get my first million, and after I get every million after that, I can convert it into 1,000 coins that I can use. The one exception is that gold can be used on a 1-to-1 basis to do things like convert planks, or buy items from the stonemason in Keldagrim, repair barrel armors. Again, I think if I was limited to a 1,000 to 1 ratio, to train construction, it's an expensive skill. I would be living in an outhouse out back. So I will allow regular gold to be used on a 1-to-1 basis for these purposes. However, regardless of that fact, construction level is still restricted by decade, and I have to get the logs or the planks that I'm going to be using. I have to get them from drops. I'm going to allow myself to buy hunter and fishing tools. Those are pretty limited if they drop at all for monsters, and so I will give myself the ability to do that. But again, at a 1 million to 1,000 ratio. So I'm not going to just run out and buy a ton of feathers and go to barb fishing. I'll have to find other ways to train fishing. One piece that I've added for the end game for this account is I can buy additional boss kills starting at the 200 and up decade. This is kind of where most of the bosses start. A lot of the wieldy bosses, or not the sub bosses, are in that level. But they cost 1 GP per level of the boss. So if a boss is level 250, again at a 1,000 to 1 GP ratio, if they're level 250, I can buy an additional kill for 250 gold, which means that I generated 250,000 real gold in the game to be able to purchase that chance. So again, late game, kind of decision, but I think something that'll make the game more fun. If I'm really missing a critical drop, I can try to go for it, and it takes a lot of sacrifice and commitment to be able to get there. So, and then one of the final ones is, if I hit level 99 in a skill, then at that point, and by that point I'll be on monsters level 300 and up, I will be able to process XP in that skill. So once I hit 99 cooking through the normal linear methods that I've laid out, then I will be able to take any fish that I generate from then on, and I will be able to go ahead and cook it. So those are all the rules, and I think I've talked enough for one video. So I'm going to leave it there, and hope that you all enjoy my my first day as a Ole Man gamer.